my friend. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back, or if you're new here, hello. My name is Anna Real, and this is Real Talk, where we get real about personal growth topics. And I am passionate about helping you see how amazing you are. There's so much advice out there that's so cookie cutter, and we're not cookie cutter people. And so I help you learn what actually works for you. How can you become the best version of yourself if you don't even know who you are? And so in today's video, we're going to be talking about what's holding you back from pursuing your dream. Now, I'm looking at you. Is there a dream that's been on your heart that for some reason, you just haven't been able to start? Maybe it's fear or your perception of your circumstances, but you can't stop thinking about it and you just want to go for it, but something's holding you back. Well, don't worry, my friend. Today we're going to talk about that. I'm going to help you overcome some of those fears. And my number one question I've gotten is, how do I start? And so we're going to talk about that too. I'm going to go pour myself some hot chocolate, then let's get real. Okie dokie, artichokes. So first we must talk about what are some things that can hold us back. And you can probably guess what the biggest thing is, and that is fear. Fear, that's just the root of so many issues for us, right? So that's a broad category. Let's break that down. First, we can have fear of failure. That's probably one of the biggest ones, right? What if I fail? What if I give it my all and still can't succeed? What if it makes me feel like a failure? What if I'm just not good enough for this? If you saw my video about my 2021 focus, spoiler alert, I chose make mistakes as my theme. I am a recovering perfectionist and I am very, very hard on myself. And so to work on my self-talk, I'm going to be recording all of my mistakes, which you would think is the thing you shouldn't do, but I am recording it to then celebrate them. Instead of beating myself up over these mistakes, I am going to celebrate them because it means that I'm actually taking action and taking risks and facing my fears, and that is worth celebrating. But as you can guess, that's still really hard for me. That's why I've made it my theme this year, so I can work on this. And so I am definitely that kind of person of like, why even start something unless if I'm gonna be awesome at it? But as I've talked about in that last video and several others, failing is a part of the process, and it's not really failing, it's just you gotta get out, all those crappy drafts before you get the good finished story. You got to have a lot of really crappy sketches before you become a good artist. It's just a part of the process. Everyone starts off as a beginner, and so it's nothing to be afraid of. And I think we tend to make this mean more than it should. We make it mean something about us, because why are we so afraid of failure? Think about it. Like, why are you really afraid of failure? Is it because you're afraid it would make you feel bad because you would think that you are a failure? Because there's a difference between failing and being a failure. One is, what's the word? One is like this one event in time, this verb, and one is a label, a sense of being, an identity. We don't want to feel like a failure, so we do anything we can to avoid that. But why are you making it to mean that? Is it your own self-judgment, or are you assuming that others are going to judge you that way? Which, that's another key fear that I wanted to mention, fear of judgment. It can be attached to that fear of failure of like, what if I fail and what will people think of me? But sometimes it's even, like, unless if I have super duper great success, like you just fear this judgment of what will people think if I am awful at this. That's really embarrassing. Or even what would people think if I maybe if it's some kind of career choice that's unconventional, and maybe your family is very traditional, like, this is what you should do, you should become a doctor, you should become a lawyer, you should be focused on making money because that's practical, that's realistic, and they think your head is in the clouds, but this is the dream that you have. And so you fear being judged for making that kind of decision. You're afraid that people will put this kind of label on you of, they're going to think that you're stupid for making this decision. They're going to think that you're naive or maybe even lazy, depending on what you're choosing. Like, I think of, like, those people who are making lots of money right now off of just playing games. Like, that's awesome, but I can't imagine what people thought when they first started, right? Like, you're not gonna get paid to play video games. Like, come on, you're just using that as an excuse. And, well, they might have been doing that, but I mean, if now they're making all of this money from it, and because they had a dream and they actually went hard after it, and people didn't understand until they did, people aren't gonna understand until you succeed. And so that can be incredibly scary, and once again tied to that fear of failure, of people won't see the vision that I have unless if I succeed, and so that just puts so much more pressure on you, so why even try is probably what you're thinking. There also can be fear of success, which I feel like we don't talk about as much, because fear of failure tends to be the bigger one, but sometimes we can have fear of success because of our fear of failure, like the higher you are, the farther you can fall, or that it's going to put the spotlight on you, and maybe you're afraid of that kind of attention. You're afraid of how people will treat you. Maybe you're afraid of, like, how can you tell which of your friends are genuine and which are just using you? Maybe you're afraid of the pressure and the responsibility that might come with. Perhaps you're afraid of having that many eyes on you because it means there's a lot more opportunity for criticism, or, think of all the people out there who are famous and their every move is being watched, and they do like one wrong thing and people go crazy. So it really can feel like a lot more pressure, because it just feels like every mistake you make is just more in the public eye, and that can be scary. Or perhaps you're afraid of the changes that it brings. Even if it's good changes, it can still, change is still hard, even if it's good, right? It's still moving out of your comfort zone, and it's an adjustment like anything else. And that fear of change is another big one too, because you might be aware of how much it will take from you to be able to really go after this goal. That to pursue that, you're going to have to give up some of your free time. You might have to give up some of your money. You might have to make some changes in your life, and you might know that some of those things are going to be uncomfortable. And so we like to avoid discomfort. Our brains are naturally programmed to be resistant to change because the familiar is safe, and our brains like to keep us safe, right? And so trying to go into the unknown. Sorry, Frozen 2. To go into the unknown is scary. It's taking that leap of faith into sorry, now I'm thinking of Star Trek references. To boldly go where no man has gone before. So by now you're probably feeling worse about yourself because we're just talking about fears, and I just pointed out more things to be afraid of. I probably just gave you some more things to fear. But maybe it helped. Sometimes hearing someone else talk out the things that were in our brain helps you feel not so alone, and know that this is just a part of the human experience. But I will not leave you there, friend. Let's talk about how to overcome these fears, and I believe you can do it. You right there. Yes. Mwah. I believe in you. So first I want you to think about what is the worst that can happen. Now, I know people will probably tell you,
don't think about the worst case scenario, just think about the positive.
But I want you to think about the worst case scenario, because it's often, like, if we are actually thinking it all the way through, oftentimes it's not even as bad as we think it is. It's sometimes in the resisting of the not wanting our mind to go there that it's actually like it's more conceptual, and that's where we get super afraid because it just feels like this big awful thing. But if we actually think about it very specifically, what is the worst that can happen? It's often not as scary as we think it is. Or even if it is super scary and actually could happen, we often are making it to mean more than it really means. And we often make it out to be a much bigger deal than it is because everybody makes mistakes. It's true. Everybody, everywhere makes mistakes because we are human beings and human beings are imperfect. We're not freaking programmed robots. So chill. I know that's easier said than done, hun. I'm sorry. So first of all, like I said, no one's perfect, and so everybody makes those mistakes. I've even heard some big speakers before, and they sometimes they lose their place and trip up over their words too. I've heard different famous singers like forget their own lyrics. Like, it happens to the best of us. So like, who are you to think that it's such a huge deal when you make a mistake? Because again, it's just a part of the human experience, and so you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And often people forget about it, like maybe even the next day, but years down the line, you're the only one that's like ruminating on it. Everybody else has probably moved on, and they probably didn't even think twice about it in the moment. Because again, people are looking at the overall thing, not just the one mistake. And if they really are judging you for messing up, that says a lot more about them than it does about you, okay? Them being a judgmental jerk has nothing to do with you. I want you to do one more exercise with this. I want you to also pause, like right now even, and think about if you had a friend who was in a similar position as you and they're wanting to go after this thing. It's really big on their heart and they're just wanting to try it, but they're scared of making a mistake and they're scared of all these different things. Think about what you would tell them. Now, you'd probably say it much more kindly to your friend, right? Wouldn't you encourage them on? If they, did something and made a mistake, would you beat them up for it? Or would you encourage them? Would you tell them kind of what I've been telling you of, it's okay. We all make mistakes, and this actually wasn't even as big of a deal as it seems to you because we're always more critical of ourselves. And so whenever you're caught in that critical cycle or this fear of making mistakes, I just want you to remember of what would you say to a friend? And then try to give yourself that same kindness when you mess up or when you're afraid of messing up. Now comes the happier bit. I want you to think about what is the best that can happen. We often dwell on all the negatives, the scary scenarios, all the things that could go wrong, but how often do we think about what's actually the best that could happen? What are some realistic benefits of me actually going after this dream? And I want you to really get into it. I want you to think of the future, 1 year from now, how am I going to feel? How, am I going to be proud of myself for having faced these fears and accomplished this? Even if it doesn't work out super well, there's still so many good things that will come from it. Look at what I could learn from this and how this will grow me and better me as a person. Look at how much fun I could be having doing this thing that I enjoy. Look at the success I could be having and how fulfilled I will feel. And just think about all of the positive things that could come from this. Think of that 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, And then also think about how would I feel if I don't pursue this now? Will I regret it? Will I always be wondering what if? And that's not a fun feeling. So to just review all of that, first think of what's the worst thing that could happen, because it takes it from this scary, nebulous, abstract, vague realm into something more specific that we can actually look at and see, is this realistic? Is this as scary as I thought it was? Is this as bad as I think it is? What am I making this to mean? What would I say to a friend if this actually happened to them? Thinking of all of those things. And then what's the best that could happen? What are all the benefits of me actually going after this, even in the worst case scenario, but then also the best case scenario? What are all of the good, positive things that will make my life better? Now we're going to talk about how do we start. We've kind of removed the obstacles, the roadblocks, that wall that was up in front of us called fear standing in our way, that stupid jerk face. We punched it in the face, and now how do we actually take a step forward? How do we get going? How do we take that first step? Well, this is actually a great first step. You're watching this video, so congratulations. You've already done something good. Check it off, write it down on your to-do list, and then ka-ching, you took a step forward. Next, so I want to talk about, again, how we are not cookie cutter people, so we can't follow cookie cutter advice. So I'm going to give a couple different options here for you to choose, and this is going to take some self-reflection, some introspection. Some of it might have to do kind of with who you are and your personality, but some of it might kind of have to do with where you are right now, and your current situation. And like, I've even had times in my life where different things worked for me at different times, and so yeah, you're just gonna have to kind of figure that out for yourself. If you want some help with that, feel free to comment down below, kind of share your situation. I have to give my disclaimer of, I'm not a licensed counselor, I'm not a licensed medical doctor. Don't sue me if you take my advice and things go wrong. But yeah, I can kind of help you figure out like which thing do I need to do. Or you could just honestly go eeny, meeny, miny, mo if you don't know. Just do something. That's the big key here thing. Do something. Take a step forward. Okay, so here are the two different things. The first one is go all in. Take massive action. Some of this might work for some people. It might be, the aspiring photographer that goes out and buys that nice camera that they've been having their eye on, and if you're someone like me, it's like once you've spent money on something, you like feel this need to use it, so it's not a waste of money. Or perhaps you are someone who's been wanting to start a blog, and so maybe your massive action step is to buy 1 year of website hosting, buy that domain name, and so you've locked yourself in, you've spent money, you own this website for 1 year, and so you're gonna commit to that and just put that first blog post out there. But for others, maybe that just seems way too daunting, and so your fear is paralyzing you. And so for you, maybe the best course of action is to take one small step forward. That's it, just one small step. Maybe set a timer for 15 minutes, and maybe if you're someone who's wanting to begin drawing, becoming an artist or something like that, and you just set a timer for 15 minutes, that's all you have to do, but you're just this amount of time, I'm going to draw, I'm going to give myself grace. If it turns out poop, that's okay. A win is doing this for 15 minutes. Maybe it's writing those first words down because you're wanting to be a writer, or taking that first picture, or writing that business plan, or trying out that new recipe, or signing up for that dance class, whatever it may be, just setting a timer, 15 minutes, just doing one small thing to get you moving. Because sometimes it is easier to take that first small bite, and then that's when you start building up momentum that continues on further. But doing a very big thing starting out might just be too much for you, and that's okay. But then other people, you might second guess yourself and overthink things if you're just going small steps at a time. So you just need to go all in. So again, kind of looking into yourself to kind of see what is best for you, and if you don't know, just trying something out, just choosing one and going for it. Remember that it might not make full sense to you. It might not make sense to you, it might not make sense to others, but you're just stepping forward, you know. For some people, it does just feel right. And so that gives them confidence to keep going. For others, it feels like stumbling in the dark until you find the light switch. And that's okay. I just want to remind you again that we're all different, and so everybody is going to feel different. Everybody is going to have different things that works for them. So just remember that, so you can give yourself kindness and grace and not be comparing yourself to others, but focusing on your path and figuring out what is best for me right now. I'm going to be covering some additional things that can help you on this journey, and so make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that. You know, I said earlier that my theme for the year is make mistakes, and so I am going to be doing some more vlogs this year, kind of documenting my progress, and it's really scary for me because as a perfectionist, as I said before, I just hate showing anything until it's really good. But oh my gosh, like it's hard for me, but I'm gonna show you all of the messiness so that you can see my progress and see again that mistakes and just yucky things are a part of the process, and that's normal. And so and then also to hopefully inspire you to see like, hey, like I said, that this is part of the process, and like that's actually not so bad. Like, what am I afraid of? So I hope it encourages you and inspires you to take steps forward in your own journey, even if it's not fun at first. Even if there's a lot of mistakes, it's a part of the process, my friend. And then finally, I do offer coaching. So if you are someone that's wanting to kind of just take it further and get some more personalized one-on-one help from me, sometimes, man, like whenever I even just started this YouTube channel, I had so many people encourage me, and that made such the difference. And so if you're needing someone to be your cheerleader and encourage you on and just affirm you when you're making progress and just help you continue to overcome those fears, I would love, love, love to be that for you. And so check out penpalcoach.com. I have a link down below if you're interested in my coaching. Even if you don't want to do ongoing coaching, I have an ebook that I walk you through to help build some foundational things that I think are really important to help get you started. And then I, have some personalized action steps and resources for you to then carry it on yourself and hopefully just like boom, launch you down that path, or at the very least, like help get you going in the right direction. I believe in you, friend. You can do this. Yes, you can. So take a step today. Don't put it off any longer. Take that step. Do something today. You got this. And until next time, keep it real.